Huan Zhang and Jason Reinhardt. Now, I remember Zhang from WEC, where he's actually not had the most splendid run that people predicted when he first moved over. He's coming off a loss, if I recall rightly, and has only had one win, one loss since joining there. Jason Reinhardt, I know of very well, has affiliations with MFS. I'm going to go for Jason Reinhardt on this. I think I shall go for decision on that one. Anthony Perosh is next, along with Tom Blackledge. Now, Anthony is the first on the card to be an Australian. That is where the event is being held. And Blackledge is actually from Britain. He's part of the Wolfslayer Academy. And because of that, I think I will go for Tom Blackledge. Just play the patriotic card. At Warburton and a guy called Jutsusko or something like that. I'm going to go for Jutsusko, or whatever his name is. Mainly based on their last matches. I don't know much about either. He managed to beat Anthony Nojokwani, who's sort of been at contendership level in WEC. The other guy, he lost at Kurt Warburton to Spence Fisher, so I'll go for the Polish guy. I'll go for TKO, I think. Can anybody answer me why Mark Hunt is even in the UFC? Let's see, he's had wins in his past over people like Wanderlei Silva and Krokop. Yes, okay, fair enough. But his last, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fights going back to 2006 have been losses. Okay, most of them have been quite high up. Josh Barnett, Fedor, Alistair Overeem, Melvin Manhoff, Gegard Mousasi, and then there's Sean McCorkle. He's fighting Chris Terscherer, who's sort of been on an up and down path, but he's fought the likes of Gabriel Gonzaga, for example. I think Chris Terscherer will probably win this one. I'm going to go, I think, for I'll go for a TKO in the last round. Right, Nick Ring is fighting who? Ricky Fukuda. Nick Ring is interesting. I do have heard of him. This is his debut. He's got a perfect record of around about 10, I think, yes. The other guy is probably well known in the Deep institution. He's a debutee as well. Got a better record, but I don't know. I'm actually going to go for Nick Ring on this. I might go for decision, though. Alexander Gustafsson and James Tahuna. James is Australian, so he's going to be a home favourite, and he does have a win in his debut over Igor Pokrajic. But Gustafsson, I think, will probably win this one. How? I think, let's go for TKO. I think he's a European. Ross Pearson and Spencer Fisher could be an extremely exciting match if Spencer Fisher chooses to keep it standing. He may take it to the ground, and I don't know whether he'd have an advantage there or not, really. Might go for Ross Pearson, you know, might actually go for Ross Pearson. But then there's two submission artists in Chris Camozzi and Kyle Noak. I think I'm going to go for Kyle Noak. I'll go for some sort of bar submission in the second. With Chris Little and Brian Ebsol, I'm actually going to go for Chris Little, I think. I shall go for TKO in the third, but wouldn't be surprised if it's a decision. Right, George Sotiropoulos and Denis Siver. Denis Siver being the German who has run through a lot of the British fighters recently. He's quite exciting. George Sotiropoulos, the overlooked Australian who has actually moved incredibly fast up the ranks, both in 155 pounds. This has Fight of the Night written all over it. I'm going to go, I think, in the end for George, even though I think Denis might have, you know, the record advantage, maybe even the experience advantage. But I'm going to go for George on this one. I'll even go, I think, for a submission in the third. George Rivera and Michael Bisping. You know, I don't like Michael Bisping, but I am going to go for him, just because I think George is a little bit unpredictable. I've seen his record. I've often based my assumptions on that he's going to do well, and he hasn't done quite as well. He's a little bit unpredictable in terms of whether he's going to win or lose. Whereas Michael Bisping, he's usually usually can work out exactly where he is. I'm going to go for him. I'll go for TKO in the third. And Jon Fitch versus BJ Penn. I shall tell you that this one could be a terribly interesting fight. This is going to depend a lot on how good BJ Penn is at welterweight. And this match really will show whether he belongs at welterweight or not. I have my doubts, okay? Both of them are groundsmen, but both of them come from different backgrounds. Jon Fitch, the wrestler, and if BJ Penn is not brilliant on the ground with his jiu-jitsu, he's going to get sort of slept on, probably. I don't see Jon Fitch finishing Penn, although I see him giving it a jolly good go. I think it depends really totally on what sort of Penn turns up. I think the more hostile Penn is, the more hostile Jon Fitch will be in return. I wonder personally whether Jon Fitch will probably win the decision, only because I think Penn's days at welterweight are really numbered. I think they always have been. I don't think he should have gone back. I think he should have stayed at lightweight, and we shall see after this match, I think, whether he belongs there. If he actually manages to win, particularly if he finishes Jon Fitch, then that's the sort of thing that might make me recant that statement and say, okay, perhaps he's not lost his touch with the welterweights just yet. I think this match is key. Is absolutely key to that, and I'm not sure how much a couple of days training with Matt Hughes is going to help really in terms of that. I wouldn't personally have specialised if I was Penn in wrestling for this. I think he needs to be on top form with his BJJ and maybe sort of get a submission that way. I'm not sure he should play Fitch at his own game. I just don't think so. Maybe if they'd both been at lightweight, but they're not. They're not, and that's important to remember.